Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I am out on the Weeki-Wachee River in Florida, and we are going to try to tackle the big issue of C1 boat control. Thought that this might be the best place to do this video because the Weeki-Wachee is one of the most technical rivers I have ever been on, and it just so happens to also be one of the most beautiful rivers. Crystal clear waters, and it's spring fed, so there's always current, and there's varying degrees of difficulty with all of our corners. So I just did my warm-up, so now I'm ready to show you guys how to control your boat. So we're going to start from straight strokes to all of our corrective strokes. Okay, so we're gonna go through. We're gonna do pries. We're gonna do draws, and we're gonna talk about leaning. So these are your major things that you use in a C1. They're also gonna be a lot of the same things you use in a C2, but the difference kind of is a little bit is that in the C1 we're here in the middle of the boat. So when we're in front of us, it's going to do a little bit different action to the boat than when we're kind of behind us. So you got to think about where your paddle is in relation to yourself, and if it's important for you to pull the stern or push the bow. Okay, so I'm here in my GRB Stinger, which is probably known as one of, if not one of the, definitely one of the best handling C1s out there. So that's one of the reasons why I love this boat, is I can really put it wherever I need to, and I don't have to use a lot of corrective strokes really. So so we're going to start here. We're going upstream. I'm just going to start my watch. And so with a straight stroke, you're going to be going to the opposite side. So right now I'm just paddling straight, and when I'm on my left side like I am now, I'm going to slowly veer to the right, and now that I'm on my right side, I'm going to slowly veer to the left. Okay? So if you're on a straight river, you really don't need much more than that. But most of the rivers aren't exactly straight, so we need to be able to control. And you got wind, like you got a little bit of wind right now. You're going to notice I'm paddling a little bit more on that side. Okay? So now we're going to get into corrections. First correction is the lean. So if I want to go to my right, like I'm right now, I'm going to lean the boat down on the left. It's going to go opposite of my lean. So now I'm leaning it down on my right, and I'm going to go to the left. This is probably the biggest skill to master in a C1, is leaning just like this, still doing a forward stroke, nothing crazy, and as I lean left, the boat goes right. Okay? So if you aren't confident in your C1 to be able to lean it that much, you're not going to be turning the boat efficiently. That's what you're going to want to start with. All the rest of it is basically when that's not enough. So if I'm racing or I'm just cruising, I'm going to try to do as many forward strokes as possible, with the least amount of corrective strokes. Okay, so now let's get into the corrective strokes. There are three major corrective strokes that you can use, and they are the pry, the sweep, and a draw. In my opinion, I use the pry in the C1 more than any other. And the reason for that is I like to push my bow where I want to go, and then continue about my way. So a pry is done in front of you. Okay, a sweep is done through the whole stroke. In the draw, in my opinion, you can do the draw in front of you, but in my opinion it's more effective when you use it to pull your stern around. Okay, so that might be a scenario where you're struggling to push your bow. So instead of pushing your bow, you pull your stern. A lot of people like the sweep. I never personally felt that it was very effective for me. I thought it was even more effective to do a shorter pry or a shorter draw. Because a sweep is basically a combination of a pry and a draw. So right now, we're going to do some pries. And the key with the pry is the blade angle and the vector of where you pull your blade. So when I'm paddling straight, like I am now, I want my blade to be perpendicular to the boat, perpendicular to the line that I want to travel, and go straight back. That's going to give me the straightest course. So, but now with a pry, what I want to do is I want to take my bow and I want to push it that way. So instead of keeping my blade like this, I'm going to turn my blade like this, because I'm going to push this way, and that pushes the bow this way. So I'm going to plant it here and well in front of me, and then I'm going to pull away from me to this side, and that's going to turn me to the left. And to do the opposite, I'm going to put it in front of me, and I'm going to push it to the side this way. Okay? Now, for this to be effective, you have to be in front of you. If you try to do it late, then you're doing something totally different. It's not going to be nearly as effective. Okay? I mostly use pries to initiate a turn. So right now we're going upstream. And with upstream, you have the current that's going to wrap around the corner, generally. And once you go into the eddy, which you should be going on the upstream, once you get right to the apex of the turn, pretty much, the current is going to want to push. I'm going to go to the right over here. Once I get to that, where the current's coming across my bow, it's going to push my bow, and it's going to want to send me straight across the river. So I like to initiate my turns when I'm going up, especially going upstream, with a pry, because this is going to push the bow, and I want to push it upstream. So I want to push it upstream. So I'm prying, okay? And so that helps to hold the bow, so it doesn't get pushed across the river when you're doing it. Okay? Now, once the bow is out there, you're gonna have a hard time fighting that current, trying to push the bow. And the stern's gonna be free, in a sense. So that's when, like, a sweep stroke, and then some, what I would call stern draws, are gonna be more effective. So right now I'm going in, I'm gonna turn a little bit to the left, I'm gonna do a draw. And so now you can see, basically, I'm pulling the stern towards me. Okay, so whereas with the pry I'm here, and I'm pushing the boat this way. Now I'm here, I'm behind me, and I'm pulling, and that's still making me turn that same way. But it's where the force is that's gonna help make the turn. So basically, when I'm gonna get up here, I'm gonna draw on my left side. So now I'm here, I'm gonna start drawing on my left side. That's pulling my stern towards me. Okay? The reason I don't like that as much is because you don't go as fast. You really have to you're really reducing the speed. So it's used when it needs to be. Mostly I use it on upstream when I'm going and my bow just clears the corner. And then I do a couple of those to help pull it, because at that point, stern isn't getting hit by current. So I will do a couple of those to pull on. So I'm going to do another one right here. going straight, and I'm just gonna pull here. So that wasn't pushing the bow this way, but the bow goes that way because the stern's pulling this way. Okay? And then the combo of the two is the sweep. And so what a sweep does is it starts with a pry and it finishes with a draw. So it's like you're sweeping a broom. So you're doing something like this. Okay, so in the first part, so and the whole point of it, and you see these a lot more on Buoy Turn. So you're going to basically push the bow and pull the stern. Okay, so right here I'm pushing the bow and then I pull the stern. So that's what a sweep is. So I push the bow and I pull the stern. Push the bow, pull the stern. Okay, I'm going to do it again on this. Push the bow, pull the stern. Push the bow, pull the stern. Okay, this is something that no one ever. People always talk about the sweep, using sweeps and stuff, the C1, but I never. It took me a couple of years to really understand that. What you gotta think about is where the paddle is in relation to the boat, and how that will affect whatever you're doing. And one of the other big things is the current that's coming. You know, you have to take into account the current that you're working with. So when you're going downstream, you might have to like prevent the current from sweeping you out. So you might have to, think about, okay, well, the current's going to start, pulling my stern, so I gotta prevent that around the corner. Just for fun, no bonus. I'm gonna give you my buoy turn. How I do a buoy turn a lot of times. One of the biggest things I think with a buoy turn is to maintain a lean. So what I'm gonna do a buoy turn from the right to the left, and this is a very, very narrow channel. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start with a lean, then go with a pry, and then I'm going to do, and this is what you need in extreme cases, is a back rudder. Okay, so what I do is for my back rudder, I'm going to show you kind of here. Is I take my paddle like this, put it here, and now you can see it goes, it's turning my boat. So I'm going to do it slow. So I initiate the lean, I do a couple pries, I realize I'm not going to make it, I put this in, I maintain that lean, which is probably the most important part of it. And then I go back to start a fry, and then this is probably the time that sweeps might work. See, I just missed the boat up there. So, you see, that was a pretty quick turn. It'll be a little bit harder at full speed, but we're going to do it again right here. So basically, I'm going to start by leaning down the right, couple pries. I'm going to come in, I'm going to maintain that lean. And now I'm like 50% here. But I stopped all my momentum going this way, and I want to go this way. I'm going to start my momentum back up. Now I'm not going to make it on this one because I was chatting. So I'm going to put another quick one here. Now I'm back around. Okay? That's if you want to do a full 100% turn. And honestly, sometimes you got to when you're going upstream and you get pulled out in the current. You don't go slamming into the other bank. You got to put one of those in. That's actually a pretty important. People do. I've never gone cross rudders in the C1. You could do a rudder this way too. the only time I use that rudder is, let's say we're wake riding and I'm just on that wave that's starting to pull me in to the guy in front of me. Now I find that I don't have enough time to actually, I can't get my paddle in on this side. So then I'm going to put this here, and this is going to slowly, this is going to drag me out. I'm going to drag out like this. And that keeps me on the one side. Hopefully keeps me right on the wave where I want to be. Hopefully pulls me out enough so I can switch and then paddle on the other side. So that's another advanced correction that you'd only use in wake riding, probably wake riding, and then sometimes if you initiate a turn too early and you're getting sucked into that inner bank, that's when I do like a draw from the front. Because a draw from the front doesn't turn as quickly as a pry from the front. Because what it's doing is it's pulling you out towards that planted blade out here. And so when you do that, you kind of almost like drifting. So you are drifting this way. This is a quarter draw. If I do this, I'm drifting this way. Alright guys, I got myself lost here. So I'm going to go and get the rest of my paddle going. But it's been fun trying to teach you guys how to handle your C1s. And leave a comment if there's something I missed. I'd like to know about it. And subscribe. I'm hopefully going to be putting out more. It'll be very sporadic, but I'll be putting out more videos in the coming future. Alright, until next time guys, paddling on.